this is what I learned doing our podcast stuff. The first 10 seconds is the most critical. Like if you can retain people through the first 10 seconds, then YouTube and TikTok, they start pushing your videos farther. So there's this incentive. Yeah, you want to put everything up front. I love Hassan Minaj's podcast, but he does it too. Like most podcasts they'll put 60 seconds of the hottest clip or something that's like misleading about the podcast at the front so that people listen. So Hassan will frequently say stuff like, I got out debated by a 5-year-old or whatever, or like if it, whatever the math kid was, right? And he'll say that, and then the clip at the beginning will make it look like that's what it's about, and it's not. But it's because that sucks people into the first 60 seconds, and then they got to watch the rest. So I hate that.
At the dawn of time, single-celled creatures emerged from the primordial ooze to colonize the Earth. The fertile soil they found was beautiful, dangerous, and wild. However, it was also super lame because they didn't have the concept of numbers with which to rate things. Now, in the year of our spaghetti monster in the sky, 2025, two intrepid brothers have come forth to solve the world's problem. No longer will items go unrated. No longer will everyday objects escape the rule of numerical law. This is Review Everything.
Welcome to Review Everything podcast, clearly doing the most important work. Oh, just came in hot.
You were talking to our little mistakes, not me.
Yeah, it's true.
Man, okay, sorry.
I mean, but hello. It's nice to see you.
Run it back, fatty.
Welcome to Review Everything, the podcast that is clearly doing the most important work, taking random items from the limitless spectrum of existence and putting them on a tier list. I'm your host, Ashton McCauley, a mid-list author and data enthusiast. Across from me is this guy.
Hey, I'm Connor from work. I'm your elder millennial. I'm pretty sure I could eat that amber orb with the mosquito in it. I could swallow that.
Oh, man, I wish I was in my upstairs office because for Christmas, somebody gifted me a replica of that amber orb from Jurassic Park. And I think when I get older, I'm going to glue it to a cane so that I can walk around like John Hammond. I think that's going to be a good vibe for me.
Do you have a holiday called Vor Christmas? Because that's pretty much what I'm talking about is Vor. And you have
What is Vor?
That's when you eat things you shouldn't because it makes you feel a certain way.
Man, Vor Christmas would be wild.
You said for Christmas.
I did say for Christmas, but now I kind of want Vor Christmas to be a thing.
Do you remember when the little McElroy ate a banana at E3 one year, like from the bottom, and it awakened something dark in him, and then he started doing videos where he would try to put the whole amiibo in his mouth for Nintendo?
No, I didn't. Griffin did that?
He realized at Vox that I think that was a thing for him. I'm not saying it's sexual, but there's a satisfaction.
Oh, that is real. Oh man,
I can't believe you hadn't heard of
Vor. You learn something new every day on this podcast.
Yeah, man.
That's what Vor is.
I thought I was tapped out. Sometimes I open my mouth and I'm like, at this advanced age, what do I have left to contribute to anyone? Well, why even open my mouth? Why get up in the morning? And you know what? Earnestly talking to Vor about you and it being a new thing, it did it for me today.
Yeah. I'd sometimes there's a lot of shit I learn about the new generation that I just old man yells at cloud hate. But then every once in a while I get something from them like, this is pretty good. You guys did good with this one. This is interesting.
I don't want to. People shouldn't have tails. I know it's going to be one of those things that I'm on the wrong side of, but and I'm talking about in the future, if you want to wear a fake tail for fun, okay, cool. It's fun to like things as long as
we shouldn't genetically engineer tails on people. That's where we should stop.
Yeah.
There was a movie where a guy had a tail.
Yeah, cats. Everyone had a tail.
There was another one.
One of your top 3 actors, James Corden, is in that movie. You would not shut the fuck up about James Corden and how hot he looked in his fake cat body.
I won't stop talking about how hot everybody looks in that cat movie.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm so into that new game, Eugenics. But anyways, been watching cats bang on a small screen all day. It's disgusting. This week, we're doing a dual topic. So initially, I thought it'd be funny to hear you get mad about shit again. And then I decided that I would do a little bit of half and half. So we're going to do things that give me faith in humanity and things that take it away.
I didn't know. So if you want me to get mad, it has to be more trivial than that. Just so you know.
Don't worry. There's stuff in here that I think will make you mad.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I do think, just frustrated, Connor, and I think talking about some of the things we're going to talk about, they're inherently frustrating, but sort of born out of that frustration, it's been a crazy few weeks in the world, and I was feeling particularly mad and frustrated, and I went and took to writing dark comedy short stories, and I've written 4 of them right now. I'm probably gonna write more and maybe put them in a collection, but right now you can read them for free on ABC Tales. The latest one
That's
is
a B tier item, I'm pretty sure.
it
That
is
might be A
and
tier.
it might even be higher. I
Yeah.
can't remember. But
Yeah.
they're on ABC Tales. By the way, I just found out I'm about to cross 200,000 reads on
Holy shit,
ABC
dude.
Tales. Like it's crazy. But the one that came up today that's on the front page of their website right now is called The Politics of Concrete. And
Hmm.
this one came up because I got a little high last weekend and then I was sitting in bed thinking, and for some reason there was this conversation in my brain between a dude called Johnny Fawcett and Billy Sink, and they were talking about making a Terminator kids television show. And this is why I couldn't go to sleep, because I just kept listening to them have this conversation in my mind, and somehow that turned into a heist story. So you can read The Politics of Concrete right now for free on ABC Tales. Yeah, look it up. I'll put a link in the show notes. But there's 4 of those stories out there. There will be more. Go enjoy
Why is
them.
it called the politics of concrete? Concrete is also special. It takes very specific, like riverbed rock that isn't normal. It's one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gases. Did you know all those things about concrete?
I actually didn't know any of those things about concrete.
Wow.
This
Yeah, that's
is
a
about
huge story.
2 dudes who think that people are putting 5G in the concrete, and it's about them trying
Hmm.
to uncover that mystery,
That
is
sounds.
what I'll say,
le-
without spoiling stuff.
Well, I kind of wanted to know more.
That's why, look, it's a very short story. It's like
Just read
1,200
it, okay.
words. Yeah, it's about 2 conspiracy theorists who want to make a Terminator kids television show and also want to expose a concrete plant for putting 5G in concrete near kids' schools. So, yeah, that's a good taste. Go read it. But speaking of being aggressive, before we get going, a reminder that you can send us hate mail, love notes, listener suggestions at revieweverythingcast@gmail.com. You can actually be a part of this digital relationship rather than us just force feeding you content all the time. You start pulling your fucking weight, okay?
Did you
Me and the
get
listeners
us
are
a
going to
PO
need to go to couples therapy pretty soon.
the mistakes?
The mistakes. Me and the mistakes. I don't feel like I'm in a relationship with you. I'm going to talk directly. Look, I'm looking down the barrel at you, my little mistakes.
Hmm.
Talk to me. If you don't talk to me, I don't know you exist. Right now, you're just out there. All you are is views and likes. That means nothing to me. You're nothing to me. Email us.
I want a PO box. That's the only thing I want. As much as I want to tell you about my topic, I want to get the bad ones out because I really just want to talk about something fun.
Yeah, so we'll go low, and then we'll go high. So
Yep.
my first thing that made me lose faith is TikTok and YouTube Shorts culture, and just generally the 60-second-ification of everything, and how our attention spans are dying, and we're force-feeding people dog shit. So I recognize, like, this is another one that feels old man shakes fist at younger generation, but for the longest time, I managed to stay completely away from YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Like, I think I was old enough to get to experience Vine when it was fun, which for those who don't know, Vine was like the original short form video platform, and it was great. It was actually really fun. And I think I opened TikTok, was on it for a few weeks, realized very quickly, like, this is going to be awful for me, and then got off. But in the interim time since I got off TikTok, it became ubiquitous. And it is where so many people get their news and get everything. Like everything is TikTok. It's killing movies, it's killing books, it's killing any sort of long form content. And I managed to avoid it until we started doing this podcast. And then when we started doing this podcast, I realized almost all of our views and all of our traffic is going to come from short form clips of this content. So we record for an hour and a half sometimes if we're really getting into it. And the things that do best are like a 25-second clip of, Connor ranting about tuberculosis in New Mexico, and then conservatives getting upset because they think that you're being a liberal snowflake. Like, that's one of our most viewed things.
Do you think? Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of wild. Do you think? So specifically with TikTok, maybe with YouTube, I don't think Reels or Instagram is irredeemable. I have a pretty strong point of view on their algorithmic content or how they approach it. Are we missing out on old TikTok? TikTok's cooked, by the way, which is actually one of the things I'm most excited about because it's going to get worse now that
It's owned by a U.S. company.
One that has ties to political groups and social groups that are generally uninteresting, unfunny, uncurious. And so I just think, like, Facebook is dying. It's a long one. Like, this will be the start of American TikTok. Yeah. But up until then, were we missing out on anything?
I do think so. I'll get sent Reels and TikToks from other people, and I'll be like, oh, this is really funny. But I just know that if I get on there, it's not going to stop.
No, mine immediately goes to giving me content to read comments to validate my take on some awful thing that has been sent to me, whether it's trad families, Disney bounders. Like, I only get stuff to get mad at. It
That's
is very deliberate. It's very clean. I can see what data is being weighted to get there. It's fuck.
You know what's wild? So I went and cleaned with our podcast account. It's clean slate into TikTok, and the content it gave me was like it tried to immediately red pill me. TikTok went super hard. It was like, all right, we're gonna show you a bunch of conservative men. The one I remember the most, it's a dude on his porch drinking coffee in a thunderstorm, and it says me when the liberals realize that they're cooked and we have all the guns. And it's just a bunch of people in the comments going, hell yeah, brother. And things that are like basically like women belong in the kitchen content and women influencers who have leaned into that sort of like
Yeah,
subservient
that
thing.
wasn't.
I mean, like I realize like I'm the target demographic for conservatives. Look at me. But I think that's crazy. And that's so dangerous that that's what it tried to do to me. But the reason it makes me mad is actually more petty, is like the number one, and I've mentioned this before, movie trailers that come before trailers, just trailers before trailers in general, drives me fucking insane. I love movie trailers. I hate the trailer that comes before the trailer. Okay, so trailers that come before movie trailers, like whenever you go to watch a trailer now, it will have a few jump cuts and it will say Mission Impossible 21 trailer starts right now. And then it goes to black and then it starts the actual trailer. Do that because this is what I learned doing our podcast stuff. The first 10 seconds is the most critical. Like if you can retain people through the first 10 seconds, then YouTube and TikTok, they start pushing your videos further. So there's this incentive. Yeah, you want to put everything up front. I love Hassan Minaj's podcast, but he does it too. Like most podcasts will, they'll put 60 seconds of the hottest clip or something that's like misleading about the podcast at the front so that people listen. So Hassan will frequently say stuff like, I got out debated by a 5-year-old or whatever it were. Like if it, whatever the math kid was, right? And he'll say that, and then the clip at the beginning will make it look like that's what it's about, and it's not. But it's because that sucks people into the first 60 seconds, and then they got to watch the rest. So I hate that. And then I also hate influencers bleeding into real life. And one of the places it's the worst, I like Disneyland. I have a lot of fun and I have a lot of like good nostalgia for it. But Jesus fucking Christ, the influencers and like what you're talking about with like Disney bounders, people who make Disney content for a living drive me fucking bananas. It's like they're on rides with their fucking, well, they can't have selfie sticks anymore, but they're on rides filming themselves and their reactions to the ride. And I'm just, who is that content for? And just why is that how we're spending our time? And why is that like the algorithm has deemed that that is the content that we should be seeing? And like just, it's what people want. It's just emotional popcorn over and over and over again. And I think it's legitimately making people dumber. It's making our attention spans go down. It reminds me a lot of AI too. It's just this oversimplification of life, and people start going for shortcuts and then they don't stop. So it's made me lose faith in humanity. It makes me feel disconnected from the younger generation because I know a lot of people feel like they get something out of TikTok that's good for them, and I just can't see it. And I think that when I talk to people, a lot of younger people, I have a lot of problem because the critical thinking that I think, like, I know I was an idiot when I was 23, 25, like for sure. I definitely was not this bad. Like you met me when I was 25, I think, and I had a lot of big ideas,
Yeah, you wore a Joker suit
I
to your
think I was at
interview.
least critical thinking enough to like get through my day-to-day job, and people are legitimately struggling. So, and the last thing that makes me angry, and this is like very minimal of all of it, but I keep getting fucking ads for Brick, which is it's a device that you tap your phone to and it locks your phone so it can only use specific apps. And I'm just like, hey, that's insane. Why do we have a device to turn off our device? And again, no shame if it works for you, that's fine. I also just think it's fucking nuts that that's a thing we need, when it's like, hey, the developers could actually like put a Brick button on your phone, but they won't, because they want you to keep using. Yeah. Any questions about that rant?
No, man, I'm with you. I think mine hits a lot of these same things. The current frontier, as far as manifest destiny, as far as raping unspoiled land, that land is your brain. These companies are, and I didn't come up with this language, but it's attention fracking. And you are doing that to yourself. They are not hiding their intentions to keep you on as long as possible to show you the most ads. And so the most money can be made. A lot of these platforms, it's when things started going algorithmic, especially without any sort of transparency, it should be fucking illegal. We can make it illegal. Like, that's something we could do if we had a functioning government. There's so many things that we think of like, we couldn't do that. That in the past, someone thought that about something. And we were like, no, this is bad enough that we should stop it. And so I don't know. My major takeaway where I'm at is that I'm a little bit encouraged by some of the laws focused on children. Like Australia, I think, banned all social media until 16. I think that's pretty close to the actual laws. There's some things happening at the state level. But as you'll kind of hear in my item, some of the people that actually care and the institutions that in the past have protected us or, some level did, they're fucked too. And so there really isn't a great solution. Everything's a grift now. Everything is about making the next buck and celebrating it in that way. This is another version of that. I can't imagine the actual impact to our brains and to society by letting these things out there. I think it's bad. I think it's bad news bears, buddy.
Yep. I'm right there with you. And I wish we had fucking regulators. But since we don't, and since we're forced, our content is also put into that box in a way, this did lead me to an idea for a little exercise, and we could do this very quickly. So I want us to each take, we could do one or two each. We're going to make a 60-second clip that's completely unrelated to this podcast. I want you to think of something inflammatory that you think is going to hook users without actually lying, if possible. So vamping to keep the people listening to your clip. And I can go first if you want time to think about yours.
Well, you go.
Okay. So have you seen the latest batch of Epstein files? Like, have you actually looked at these files? Have you Control F to see if you're in them, Connor? Because I have.
I didn't have to. I am in it, but I'm one of the many victims. Like, I've just inconsequential. Inconsequential is the word I would use.
I Googled your name and I looked in the Epstein files. I Control F'd you. I think honestly, our listeners are going to be shocked by what I found, which is that you're not in them. You're not in the Epstein files. So that's a clip right there. I think that's pretty good. Like, we get the outrage and then we keep going.
Have you seen the progress that they've made in Australia and some of the studies of bridging communication gaps to better understand kangaroos?
No. Like, they're trying to understand how kangaroos talk to each other.
Yeah. So if you live in Australia, this probably doesn't come as a surprise to you. If you ever felt that kangaroos were racist, we know that now. And we actually know their top 3 racial epitaphs.
I just saw something about this. Like, you could rank which races kangaroos prefer.
Yeah,
and they have kangaroos have a racial tier list. The kangaroos are fucking cooked. You know what? That's it. Easy F tier for me. Easy F tier.
They're being celebrated for it.
That's
in
a good
some
one,
kangaroo circles.
I like that. I like that clip. That was nice. So this is an easy F tier for me. I think when I picked this topic, I should have known that we're going to get 2 ends of the spectrum. But capability to hack brains, 10 out of 10. Influencers ruining my real life experiences, 10 out of 10. Popcorn content that sucks, even when I have to deal with it, even when I'm just going to upload our clips, 10 out of 10. And these are all on the bad scale, being 10 out of 10. And then would the world be better if we just deleted these apps from everybody's phones? I think yes. I think
at this point,
we would just be fucking, honestly, if we blew up cell phones, we might be better overall. To me, TikTok, YouTube culture is F tier. I don't know how you feel about it.
No, I agree. I will say if you had to stack rank them, and this is as someone who's never gotten into TikTok, has gotten off of anything Meta, YouTube feels the least egregious. It feels like the one that is tied closest to very specific things that I have done and that I know about. So liking a channel, asking not to see certain channels, it feels way less like they're throwing whatever spaghetti at the wall that best keeps my attention. There's a little bit of that, but it feels way more relevant and it feels way less bad. And maybe it's because I have YouTube Premium, so ads aren't the core part of what they have for me. So maybe the algo is different for me than it is people who, that would really suck. We should look into that. I wonder.
Have you tried to look at Instagram stories recently?
I only get on there for messaging once a month.
Sometimes I'll try and watch my friends' stories. It will be like story, ad, story, ad, story, ad. Like the amount of ads in Instagram stories is wild. I think that's become a major revenue driver for them.
7% of all content on Instagram now comes from people you follow.
So this is actually something that if you don't know this, I'm going to I'm going to show the listeners at home. This is a great hack.
Oh, I thought you were pulling something out. You're okay.
No. Okay. So when you are on Instagram, right? Oh, that's embarrassing. Just shows my phone background. When you're on Instagram, if you click the logo right here, it pops up a following and favorited. And if you click following, you get a feed that has no ads and it only has people you follow in chronological order.
I had no idea that was there.
Yeah, you're welcome. It changed my life. So when I log into Instagram now, I click the logo, I go to following, and I can just see chronological order, old school Instagram. I don't like that there's not like a toggle that I can't just set it to that, but it's nice that it's there.
I mean, I do have, yeah, okay. Man, bummer. Okay, let's take this bummer train. Choo choo, motherfucker.
Yeah, tell me what made you lose faith in humanity?
Yeah, one of many things, but very similar to yours. It is a behavior that we are being manipulated into doing. In this case, I don't know if it's better or worse than consuming as much possible time for ads, because this one is directly pulling money out of your pocket. But I'm talking about how everything now has turned into gambling. And more specifically, gambling is an investment, and we no longer call it gambling. We've made up new words for it to make it feel better. So we're mostly talking about prediction markets, future markets, event markets. And this is where you are spending money to buy into something happening or not happening. It could be a celebrity's dog dying. It could be a sports game, which is more traditional sports betting that we're going to talk about because it is incredibly different than it was 10 years ago. But because of cell phones and because of deregulation that I'll talk a little bit about, we are fucking cooked. If they are as good as they are at occupying our time, just imagine when everything is one thumb movement away from putting money on something. And because this is gambling, the house wins, bros and lady bros, my mistakes. An individual might pull ahead every once in a while, but this is large scale extraction of capital from humans for this in sake of enriching companies. Robinhood didn't fucking add prediction markets to help you become a better investor or to help you hedge.
Robinhood has prediction markets now?
It is right next to your core investments. Yeah, so how did we get here? Because if you're a millennial or before, I remember things like scratch-offs for certain states being really contentious, even if it wasn't easy to do. To get a scratch-off, you have to go to a specific place that is licensed to do it. You have to use cash. It is not instantaneous gratification. Pretty much what happened in 2018, the Supreme Court threw out something, and again, like everything else, this is 80% correct. So if I use incorrect words and you happen to hear it and get upset, you know what? Reach out. That's totally fine too.
Yeah, that's another use
said he wants his little mistakes to reach out. So there was something called the Chevron deference, and that was essentially the established law that gave power to agencies to create regulations and to own those regulations. And so a couple things with that, that creates a lot of stability. So agencies like the EPA used to say like, you know what, we're the EPA for the next 4 to 8 years. This is a regulation we're going to make. Some criteria of water has to be this. Otherwise, you're not meeting it and it's illegal. So companies can be held responsible, or municipalities if their water levels or things were bad. There was a law to have some sort of corrective action such that humans didn't suffer. Ideally, and it's still the government. It's inefficient. These are imperfect institutions, but we've done a real good job. It's been happening for a long time, essentially whittling them down, and now we're just taking a full-on fucking sledgehammer to them. So 2018, a partisan Supreme Court got rid of something that started in 1984, 30 fucking plus years of saying, hey, if you're an agency, you get to regulate. And instead, they gave it back to judges. And so now 300 some odd judges with their own motivations, with their own expertises or lack of expertises, and now get to make a call. And so what happens when you do that? Generally, these agencies are experts and they hire experts. At least that was the case for civil workers until fairly recently, that you had experts who wanted to work there to advance their field. And sometimes you may not completely agree with their motivations, but these people believed in these institutions and they thought they had a better way, or they thought they felt something important, and they would put it out there. And so especially core things, FDA, EPA, These are things that are there to protect us. Again, they're not fucking perfect. They make mistakes. But the idea that wholesale getting rid of those things and just letting companies go back and they get to decide whether or not something is harmful to us, that's not how capitalism works. That's not how humans work. And so we made a big boo-boo. And so yeah, you have 300 people deciding things that are brought to them via lawsuits. Lawsuits happen because of money. Money happens because you generally are a large company or an incumbent. And so we've created a system where if you like a regulation or don't like a regulation, now you put it in front of a judge. You do your damnedest through any number of channels that are available to you to get a specific judge in a specific place. And yeah, you fuck that regulation up. And one of those that got fucked up is we had a national ban on betting that easily. That got thrown out the window. So that's why you've seen sports betting, including all of these players and all of these celebrities cramming down sports betting down our throats. At the same time, there's the rise of rampant cheating in sports, ruining the sports that we actually like. Because now it's so easy for players to collude and to be in on the action because all they have to do is open their phone app and maybe they're the fucking sponsor for that phone app and they're getting paid for it, so they get to double down. So that's what happened. What are the outcomes of it? And then I'll take a pause. So the big thing is that we're going to hurt because now we've essentially empowered rich individuals, rich companies to influence and to get rid of regulations. And so that hurts us as individuals. There's not a lot of good in most cases from pretty basic regulation that were put there for reasons. So like gambling, one of the reasons why there was a national ban first, it was, there's a lot of mob stuff early on with gambling. And so it was attached to racketeering and to bad things. So it's like, cool. And as we better understood the social cost to it, we said, yeah, that's probably a good idea. There's a certain amount the states can do on their own. They can decide, but as a whole, we don't think this is good. So yeah, we're going to put a line in the sand, and we're not going to make it super easy for you to bet on anything, anytime you want, everywhere. And so that's gone now, and now you can do that. The other one is it creates a lot of fucking instability. So the way that large companies actually work, very different to what some people think being a good businessman is. That's not how big companies are run. They're not run by individual people at the top making decisions. That's fucking insane. It's inefficient. It's dumb. You're not a good leader if you're not dependent on people knowing things more than you in specific areas. And so what has happened is now these big companies, they can't plan very well, especially if they are in a business that may have regulation around it. And so you can't plan for 4 to 8 years of a certain policy because all you're doing is waiting for a judge or a lawsuit from your competitor to throw something out, rewrite whatever thing was important to you based on who had the most money. We are in a much shorter term thing now. That's not good for 401ks. That's not good for the regular person. That's not good for the market. It's instability for the sake of gain on others. The last one is in that kind of same vein, it reduces competition. And so as soon as you're an incumbent, if you're Google, if you're a big oil company and a new company comes up and tries to play in a space, you're in a position to go to court, make their lives harder, create instability. And since they are newer to the space, they don't have the same capital resources. It's going to be way hard for them to compete. Capitalism works. You're wearing your super fucking capital hat and you really do believe in this thing. You're not even doing it right. You are reducing natural capitalism and you are creating fair structures that don't actually allow people to compete. It keeps competition from happening.
Do you remember when fucking online poker was something that people were getting arrested?
You'd have to
and fined
VPN
for?
to join a small website in the Caribbean to bet $20. But now you can in real time bet if a football player tears his ACL in the next play. Yeah, I do remember.
It's insane. It's insane that people. I remember when I was 16, people playing online poker and it being really, really sketchy, but people be like, I could pull in money now because I'm really good at poker. And then seeing the news about people getting arrested for that shit, which is insane. It's insane that we've come this far. Now there's a 5% return on Polymarket if you bet against Jesus Christ returning. You can bet against the return of Jesus Christ and get a 5% return every year on Polymarket.
And honestly, that's a good return.
I mean, yeah, it's better than a lot of savings accounts. So
So what's the outcome of this? It's just gambling. We've already talked about the internet companies. They've spent the last 20 years figuring out how to monopolize your time, how to use the core nature of your humanity in the worst ways, tribalism, dopamine hunting, to extract time from you, which extracts value. And now we're just jumping ahead. We're not just taking your time. Not only are we taking your time, we are taking your money directly. A-Town is a math man and a mouth man. So do you know generally why prediction markets are, often cases in the past or can be pretty accurate? Do you have an idea?
actually, I don't know. My gut says because it's following the masses, and in general, if you're surveying the population, they're kind of clued into what's happening, whether they know it.
Yeah, no, so pretty much spot on. Pretty much it democratized aspects of points of view. So you got more diverse points of view, you got a larger one. And just from a pure mathematical standpoint, that's way better than polling someone 6 months ago and having that person represent 2 million. So there are prediction markets that are actually predictive, that are actually things that we can use to help better understand our world. Where it breaks down is as soon as you encourage speculation. And so that's exactly what's happening on Robinhood. That's what's happening in these sports betting arenas. When you start to pull those gambling behaviors or to utilize those kind of base instincts around gambling by sending messaging, encouraging things, even if like this was a real prediction market and you're just not making a bet on an outcome, why aren't you focusing on the percentage outcome and not the amount of money that would be returned? And so they're using all the same things that TikTok and others do to get you to take an action. This action is even worse than just watching ads. This action pulls money from you directly, and it also ruins the fucking numbers. And so what are we doing? This isn't an investment. What are we doing? This isn't numbers. This isn't stats. This is just pure late stage capitalism.
And like once you start like gaming it, right? Like as soon as a metric stops becoming a good measure, like a measure stops being a good measure when you put your thumb on the scale. And like what we're doing is we're encouraging people to change the measure to benefit themselves. So now nothing is real.
And then we're lying to them, and no one is protecting those people from these companies and from themselves. We're calling it an investment. We're changing the language. We're putting it in fidelity. So yeah, bad news bears all around. My category for this is tech fuckery, and it's probably larger than that, but I think we already have that. The three things I used is my first category is capitalism ruining the human experience, making us sad, making us poor. 10 out of 10 for that one. Great job. Humanity upside, 1 out of 10. House always wins. So large numbers, you're just giving Robinhood money. And then individual upside, maybe you're really good at this. 2 out of 10. You'll be exploited and you'll lose. Yeah, that is a bummer.
If I learned anything from watching that movie Dumb Money about GameStop, it's A, we make movies about things way too soon after they happen, and B, like it's the same thing with like meme stocks. I feel like are almost the precursor to this. People are going to hop off the train, and as long as you can get off the train before everybody else does, then you're good. Because like there was no value behind the GameStop stock. How long is the hype going to last? The initial math behind it was good, but then after that, it quickly grew outside of that.
It's all speculative. And like the PDE ratios for some of these companies, the market it isn't reflective of the real world. All of it is a grift at this point. I do think this is so depressing and so bad. But one of the things that does piss me off that's really trivial is, do you know how much work, I forget his name, and all the math, so it's The Big Short? So creating derivatives, he doesn't have to do that now. You don't have to create a complicated structure to essentially bet on the American housing market. You can go to Polymarket. You can go to Kalish or whatever. Like a couple years ago, there was so much regulation that this guy had to work his smart ass off to not only predict something that most people didn't see, but to create a financial product legally to be able to do it and to fuck the companies in some ways. Like not even people.
It took him... Like he had to go to so many people before anybody would take that bet.
Yeah, and so even the innovation there is amazing. Like by removing this regulation, there's decreases the amount of work for smart people to try to work around it, which I actually think is cool. That's a neat part of regulation and keeping up with how the world changes. And instead, we've just made it dumber and we've made it easier for people who already have money to exploit us. Yeah, we're just fucking ants, man.
Man, too true. I accept your F ranking. And just real quick, a word from our sponsor, DraftKings. If
DraftKings.
you use the code review everything at checkout, you get 200 first bet.
And you know what? If you're not betting, I'll tell you a couple things. One, you can't be successful. Two, you can't be a winner. Three, and especially if you're a man, you cannot be a worthy mate.
That's just
You
true.
cannot.
How are you supposed to
Yeah,
enjoy sports if you're not a part of the action? Like, get on the field and
you
make the
can't. No,
plays
if
by
you're not
placing
making
your
bets with your
bets.
friends, you are missing out on critical social. Everything needs to be around your bet. And the
Yeah.
way you have fun, the dopamine you get, the reason why you talk to your friends, it's all betting. So my next item is, and they give me faith. No, what's yours?
Holy fuck,
Let's
I
pull
should have
it.
put as my next item because that does give me faith in humanity.
Ashton, let's grab this yoke. We are in a free fall, my
All right,
brother.
let's go back up.
It's rough. We're
It's rough.
MH370ing it, but I'm pulling up on the stick. My co-pilot just got back into the cockpit, and I've changed my mind. I want to live, and we are pulling up together for some good news. What gives
Yeah.
you faith in humanity?
So I really did think about doing a goof on this one just to make you angry, and I want you to know I didn't.
What?
My
It just
goof
makes me
was
more
going to be the
sad.
music of 21 Pilots, but it is encompassed in this, so we'll get there. But it is listening to music, and I know it's broad, but it's when I really tried to think about this. I tried to think about things that give me faith in humanity, and there's like lots of little stuff, but when I put on my noise canceling headphones and I'm not doing anything else, and I just get to absorb new music that humans have created and that reflects the time and place that I'm in and what I'm going through, or something that just hits. Like, there's nothing like that in the world. And I know that streaming services have piecemealed out the way we listen to music and made it much harder in a lot of ways to make it as an artist, but they've also just enabled this vast breadth of listening that I would never have done before. So like Victor Jones, who you sent me, has a song called Zimbabwe Polly Walnuts. And I don't think I would have ever listened to a man yelling Zimbabwe Polly Walnuts if it hadn't been for streaming services making that accessible for essentially free. Genuinely, there's nothing that makes me feel better. And I thought about this and I was like, if I had 10 minutes to live, I honestly think that I would put on a record and just listen to it with my spouse and my dogs and just listen to music. Like, that's, I don't know which record I'd want to put on. Probably in this moment, my gut says I'd put on Demon Days by Gorillaz because that's my favorite record of all time. I don't know. When things are really bad, when the world is just shitty, artists are still putting out bangers. They're still protest music. I think some of the best music comes out of the times when we're dealing with the worst shit. So when I look at the pandemic, there was a lot of artists that took that and said, all right, I'm just going to make a shit ton of music. One of my favorite things during the pandemic was Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie did twice weekly streams where he played through his old catalog on an acoustic guitar. He played covers. He learned songs that he hadn't played in a very long time from Death Cab, and I think it changed the way they tour, which was really fun. And it was a cool thing to tune in for. He would do two-hour sets twice a week for the first, I think, 4 months of the pandemic. And when I think about the music of 21 Pilots, one of my favorite bands, before the pandemic, they released an album called Trench. They have 5 albums that are all part of this really elaborate storyline that I really could not give a fuck about. It's all about, like, the lyrics and the vibes hit for me. I don't really care about this whole storyline. But Trench was very dark and bass heavy and really undertuned guitars. And the pandemic hit and they released Scaled and Icy, which was like upbeat and poppy, but also had like a little bit of a darkness to it behind all that. And it hit perfectly. And I think watching artists take what's happening to them and what's happening in the world and translate it into music that hits for me is amazing. Like, I look forward to Friday every week, not because it's the end of the week, but because that's the day that new music comes out. And I'm always just excited to see like what there is to what there's. So
Think humans creating art, and I resonate way more with music than other mediums. And I know people can go look at a painting and kind of see hope or see humanity and get something from it. But I totally agree with you. Music does that for me. One of my favorite genres of music, kind of a half joke, but I like to listen to happy, like upbeat music about killing yourself.
yeah.
But like that hits a couple things for me that like I don't know how to express other ways. And here's an artist who did it for me in a way that I couldn't get to myself, and it helps me understand me without like judgment. I mean, it's definitely special. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. That's like, in like completely unironically, not part of a bit. 21 Pilots is the band that I think hits my neurodivergence like hammer to nail. Like, they've got my brain on lock.
Yeah. And my counterwill to not listen to it is also from that same thing. Because you like it so much, it just makes me not want to comply.
I'm gonna like tell you that we got tickets to a different show and we're gonna show up and it's gonna be 21 Pilots.
I'd go to one if it was the right venue and you said, "Look, I
They
want you
always
to have
play
this
Tacoma
experience."
Dome.
I would
It
go.
fucking sucks.
I'm not going to
Yeah, I
use
know
the
that.
Tacoma Dome,
I
man.
love them, and I'm not going to the Tacoma Dome. Anyway, so music, good dopamine, 10 out of 10. Evolves with the times, 10 out of 10. Not endless, but it does feel that way. And then it reminds me that the world's going to be okay. So it's S tier for me.
It's endless for you. There's
Yeah.
enough music for you to listen to music every second of every minute of your life until you no longer exist, until the last of your breaths are breathed, until the life drains from your eyes. You can listen to music, right?
Yeah, and I really hope that the 60-second YouTube culture doesn't fuck it like it's already trying to, of making bands make songs that have really good hooks for 60 seconds and then the rest of it's dog shit.
That's always happened, though. There's always been, I mean, the gatekeepers in hip hop.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's probably a different scale and stuff, but we'll say positive. Okay, you want to hear my last one?
Yeah, hit me with your last item.
All right, man. I had a lot of trouble thinking about what's something right now that brings me faith. And originally, I was thinking faith in humanity, and so then I wanted to simplify it. What gives me faith, or makes me feel upbeat about maybe not humanity, because that's a lot of people. What if it's just human? And so what makes me have faith in human, or what makes me feel good about human? Human, and I find thing I
You are
like.
human.
And thing I like is rocks. And so one of the hobbies I've gone into as something to do while I've been in my micro retirement is rock hounding. Do you know what rock hounding is, my dude?
I do, because you've talked about it.
But
But
shut
tell
your
the
fucking
listeners
mouth.
what
Tell me
rock
what
hounding
you
is.
tell me what it is.
Rock hounding, I believe, is
Mhm.
is understanding the geology of an area, going there to look for special rocks, cutting them open and seeing what's inside, and then finding special rocks.
Oh, it's easier than that. It is the amateur pursuit of finding things that are on the ground that you think are cool. And then maybe you take them home, maybe you take a picture of them, but that's pretty much it, which I really liked. I didn't know that was the pure definition of it, but I really liked that because it came with a lot of times hobbies. It's easy to very quickly turn a hobby into something that isn't worth doing unless you're the best at it or you make money at it. And rock hounding is one outside of the idea of finding a little gold nugget, which I still hope to do. It's on my bingo card. 2 grams of gold, buddy. I'm getting a sluice in the spring. That's right. Your boy's going to have a sluice. He's going to be a sluiced man.
He's gonna be sluiced up.
Yeah, man. I think it's cool. So why do you think I like it? And then I'll stop asking you things that I know answers to, and then I'll tell you about it.
I think it's something that you can fixate on while outdoors with your dogs. And so it's like an activity that kills many birds with one stone, gets you out of the house. And like you said, you can't become the best at it.
Yeah. No, I think the biggest thing is it gives me a side quest. And sometimes I can get, even being out in nature, I know some people, that's their place where they can just disappear and feel and see beautiful things. For me, I'm still thinking about emails. I'm still thinking about getting rid of the Chevron deference. So when you add another thing to it, especially one that requires a lot of visual simulation or use, it just floods my brain, and I get some version of an item that we have ranked very high for me, and that is force meditation, which is, here's a thing that because I've added these two together, I'm getting brain blank out, and that is very helpful for me. Another reason, I mean, I think if anyone who knows Connor from work, they understand he has that dog in them. And so how could the dog not be into rock hounding? I like the idea. There's this, wherever I am on that graph, I think like a lot of young kids or young boys, you found that when you were at a travel stop, that wooden box full of little boxes of rocks that you would ask your parents if you could buy some was one of the most magical places in the world. And so there's a little bit of just like healing that inner child, just like getting back to something that I legitimately find like it's one of the times, like especially as I get more into geology, like the world may suck, but I'm kind of jacked for the world being around after we are, because you look at some of these rocks, you find a beautiful agate. Do you know how long it took those layers of silica-rich water to flow into those cavities and to crystallize into amazing patterns, varying patterns of deposits and crystals?
Geologic time, man. Geologic
more than
time
40
is
years. And
something
so
else.
I may be really disappointed about how this lineage of monkeys is turning out. and will come to an end. But you know what? Those beautiful rocks won't. So yeah, that's why I like it. This is what we're looking for. Anything that you think is cool. Granted, it should be hard and it should probably be natural. So if like you find a Kinder egg on the ground, I'm not going to tell you it's not rock hounding, but I think it's peripheral. So what we're looking for is just kind of normal ass rocks that are created through, normal processes, pressure, deposit here, whatever. Lots of rocks are not anything special and they look cool. And even if you cut them open, they have lots of cool things going into it. It's amazing how these things form. But some of the more interesting things, there's this thing called an agate. And so it's kind of in the quartz family, but it's microcrystalline. So you're not seeing big crystals. But it happens when you have, like I said, you have a cavity and then you have silica rich water. And over time, the water flows in and forms into crystal. And then it happens again over and over and over again. And so you often find these they're called banded. You can see the bands on the outside. It's one of the major things you look for, and including some transparency. And then sometimes they're just gorgeous on their own. But when you cut them in half, they usually are pretty magical. Specifically for agates, when you're looking for them, the Pacific Northwest is an amazing place. Pretty much anywhere, beaches, creeks, some places way more than others. But you're looking for rocks that are really hard, right? Like you can't chip them easily. You can't break little pieces off. They're waxy. They feel waxy and look waxy. That's a good indicator. They have little pockets, and maybe they even look a little potato-y is a word that's used. And the biggest thing is if you find bands. So if you see clearly almost like water levels of different colors, you got yourself an agate, brother. But yeah, just regular quartzes are fun. There's these things, a ton of them around here. They're not banded, but they're very similar process. Jasper, green and red, these really waxy, dense, beautiful things when polished. Petrified wood isn't wood anymore. It's actually water that's replaced wood and turned into crystals. A lot of that around here too. We're in a cool area because glaciers pulled things from all over. And so depending on where you're at, and there's these maps of these mountains that were split, in quarters hundreds of millions of years ago, and how half of that mountain ends up in Bellingham, the other half is up in North BC, but it's the same rock. And
That's wild.
Yeah, so and then you got sea glass, and that's glass that's been tumbled by the waters. Precious metals, you can pan for little things. Like the reason why pans work is because heavier things stay in the sand. So, you can even find like little bits of platinum and gold and other cool things. Geodes, thunder eggs. Thunder eggs are like agates that form in volcanic ash. And so that's what I want to go do with you in Greenwater, Washington, where there's some places where you just kind of smack rocks. And when they break, sometimes there's a nodule inside like a tumor, but it's not a tumor. It's a beautiful rock that used to be a pocket of gas in the volcanic ash. That same thing happens. Silica-rich water got into it and turned it into what's called a thunder egg. And then so you have this.
I know thunder eggs.
Oh, you do? Is that what
I've
that's
cut
what you
open
call
a
your
thunder
balls?
egg before
You
with
did?
a wet
Where?
saw. I believe my dad might have rented a wet saw from like Home Depot or some
Yeah,
shit,
to
and
cut a thunder egg?
we cut open a thunder egg. Yeah, that we found. I remember holding the rock and like pushing it forward onto
That's so
the
cool.
saw.
So when I have that set up, I have a converted saw to a lapidary. Super fun. I cut 40 rocks open this summer. 10 of them looked interesting. It was one of the best days I had. So anyways,
That does sound like a lot of fun.
yeah, dude, so cool. It's like little treasures. You're opening each one up. One of my favorite high vibe chill out YouTube channels used to be called Agate Dad, and now it's James's lapidarian or something. He like mostly just cuts agates open and shows you in real time and squeals unless it has a lot of white quartz in it, and then he gets real kind of like emo about it. And he's like, oh, quartzy, and he throws it away. But most of the time he's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, I love you. In fact, I'm going to email him to see if he'd have a problem if I created not Agate Dad but Agate Daddy, and I did the same thing that he did. The thing is high vibes. You just cut things open and then you get really happy about what's inside regardless. But I'm wearing short shorts. So look out for that.
I like that.
Here's my rubric, my dude. Ranking. Easy S tier, especially after that F tier. Facilitates health. 6 out of 10. Most of the time you got to exercise. You can make it a ton of exercise. You can give yourself hard challenges. You can go to places that people don't go to. And you often find when you're doing it, it's kind of like the mushroom community where people are a little cagey, but then you kind of catch them. I have an amber spot that's fairly uncommon right near me, and I went there the other day for fun, and I saw a guy, pretty much he was like me, walking the other way, and I saw his butt was all dirty and he was wearing a book bag, and he kind of looked at me, and then after he passed, we caught each other both turning around to look at each other's book bags, and we both had hammers in it and chisels, and we just kind of nodded at each other and went on our way. Facilitates wonder, 8 out of 10, dude. What are you talking about? Like, you're finding things on the earth. You're getting to go around in nature.
Nature's loot boxes.
Yeah. No, yeah. Fuck yeah. Now, I don't want to lean into the gambling aspect, right? That's why I'm not overemphasizing precious metals. And then finally...
Can we put Polymarket on your rock channel?
No.
Is this an agate? Let's get the odds live.
I just told you what it would be. You wouldn't have to bet on it. Oh, you mean is the inside pretty?
Yeah.
Is there quartz in that? That would be a good one for James or Agate Daddy. The last one... I just said you are finding treasure for fun. 10 out of 10. That's my last category.
Yeah, that's delightful. I love it.
Thanks.
I do want to go rock hounding with you. That sounds like a great time. I'm sure Alan would love it.
Oh, I've been waiting until he can leave. You can leave the house for more than 4 hours, but that's the easy thing. Just put him in a little book bag. We can tire him out. I'll bring a little floating thing. Sometimes we're in water.
Yeah, he would. I think he would have a great time.
All right,
man. That seems like a pod. I feel uplifted at the end of this. I know we went down at the start, but I feel pretty good.
Better than the beginning for sure. Why don't you wrap it for us? Why don't you tell the little monsters how this one closes out?
Okay, let me.
Oh no. Monsters. God damn it, Lady
Straight
Gaga.
down the barrel. And my little monsters, I'll tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you found this clip on YouTube Shorts, you're part of the problem. And I think calling you mistake was accurate. And if you don't agree, fucking email me. Just email me. I need it. I need the relationship. They're not emailing me. Nobody's emailing me. The only emails I get are spam.
Can I push back on behalf of the little mistakes?
Sure, yeah.
Because I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but you get a certain amount of simulation trying to hit the algorithm.
I do.
So I am a little bit interested for you to be complaining about it when you get some amount of satisfaction of trying to line it up. And that means me doing things at certain times, and if I don't, you are disappointed. And so that one, I think you need to square that circle for yourself. That's something people say.
Yeah, square that circle. That's fair. All right, my little mistakes. Enjoy the rest of your YouTube Shorts time.
Appreciate you, little mistakes. Appreciate you, Ashton.
Appreciate you,
I definitely love Ashton. I don't know if I love the mistakes. It's probably on a mistake by mistake basis, but you have a chance.
I don't know who half of you are. We'll find out.
All right, buddy.
That's a pod.
Bye.